And we're back. Did you miss me? Of course you did. We're reading Almost Odis by me, Dusty Thompson. Get your copy on Amazon. Please subscribe below if you like the video. Subscribe even if you don't like it. It's just another email, so what? I need you to support me. Thank you. For those that are following along, we're on page 203. The blog date is Sunday, October 7th, 2012. The Psychology of Chili and Cheese. The hallmark of humor is honesty, and although I have overshared in certain areas, I haven't been truly honest about some of the realities of living with the dad. I try to find the humor in our everyday differences, but of late there has been less and less to amuse or share. I admit I was naive about his moving in, expecting to be gaining a roommate. But since he has been here, he has devolved into a difficult and depressed person, or he was always depressed and I just never noticed. It's confusing and draining. We have never shared a bond in the traditional sense of a father-son relationship as seen on TV. Ours is more of a familiarity with each other's reputation than anything else. I know him well enough to accurately predict most reactions or behavior, but in a vaguely anthropological way. I'm Jane Goodall and he's redneck in the mist. There is, however, one behavior which I simply have not been able to become accustomed to, the crying. I do not remember my father crying at any time in my life before my mother died, including when his father died my freshman year in college. I saw him cry for the first time at my mother's memorial service, but the impact was lessened by the fact that everyone was crying. Now my father cries randomly and often. He sometimes cries when he is unaware. He'll be sitting at the dining room table and get this far-off look in his eyes, and the tears start, and when I ask him why he's crying, he says, "I'm not crying, what you talking about?" Then he wipes his eyes, stares at the wetness, and looks at me accusingly as if I'm responsible for this unmanly moisture. He cries over any number of things, but mostly it's my mother. He's mad at her for leaving, as if she chose to die. He's mad at God for taking her away. He feels God is punishing him by taking her and leaving him here. What he thinks he's being punished for, he will not say, and I have asked. He cries when he talks about her. He cries when he can't dream about her. It's all rather unsettling to me, as I have been indoctrinated by him that crying is a weakness to be pitied. And while I do not pity my father, I'm at a loss how to respond to his tears. If I acknowledge them, he gets embarrassed and then angry. If I ignore them, he feels like I am cold-hearted and gets his feelings hurt, which causes him to be angry. So I become the anthropologist. I question the root cause and keep a clinical distance from the response. Of course, this makes me feel somewhat callous and detached, and truthfully, it's taking a toll on me. When my mother was very ill and we had been told by her doctor was about to die, I spent the night in her hospital room simply holding her hand. Having no frame of reference for how to act when losing one's mother, I didn't really know what else to do. We didn't say much. She was too sick and I was fighting a sense of helplessness. I ventured to question, "Why you?" She responded, "Why not me?" And that was what made her life so remarkable. She was always so wise, so loving, and so important to everyone around her. My father apparently learned nothing during his life spent with a prayer warrior and eternal optimist, as he continually laments, "Why me?" He questions why she left and why she loved him. The first answer is easy. The second answer is unknown, as she is not here to say. Unable to ask her myself, this is nothing but conjecture, but I think she was attracted to someone who embodied the opposite of her good girl church-going self, and she was drawn to the excitement. And by the time she realized the complexity and level of emotional baggage he had, she was too much in love and too far along in the marriage to simply abandon it. Baptists just don't do that. To her dying day, she loved him, literally holding on until she heard he had come through his surgery with no problems before taking her last breath. He had been in a car accident in front of the hospital while he was visiting her and required shoulder surgery. I know he is angry and he has every right to be, but he also needs to realize no matter how much he wants, she is not coming back. She is gone from this earth and she lives in my heart and my memory, and I visit her often, sometimes with laughter, sometimes with an exquisite ache, but I don't let it stop me from living. This is not what she would have wanted. She did not abide self-pity. As someone who was adept at planning pity parties as a teen, I know whereof I speak. My first year of graduate school afforded me the opportunity to take several psychology and counseling classes, as my major was higher education administration, and I have worked in federal healthcare for 14 years. My frame of reference for recognizing depression in its various forms is fairly strong. The dad is depressed, and not in that I'm sad because they canceled the Rockford Files way. As his frame of reference for proper mental health is himself, You can see why he would be unaware, as he talks only to me, and then only to share the litany of woe involving his random aches, his unquenched desire for chocolate ice cream, and his continuous fart jokes. He doesn't realize that what he is feeling is not normal. He thinks he's fine, and I suppose he is feeling fine most of the same things he has always felt about himself and the world. He has been somewhat irritated for us for as long as I can remember, and my memories, however vague, began somewhere in late 1973. As I am the weird one among his offspring, he doesn't think I am qualified to dissect the intricacies of his psyche or offer suggestions for how he should feel. He didn't actually say that. What he said was, "Stop trying to get in my head, you ain't a shrink." And it's true. But as his primary caregiver, I felt he needed to talk with a professional, and his doctor agreed. They assigned someone to him to help with his chronic pain management. When he asked me if his new doctor was a psychiatrist, I said, "No, she is not a psychiatrist." Then I stopped talking. She is a psychologist. There is a difference. Judge not, y'all. You see, his constant back pain makes him feel bad, which worsens his depression, which makes him more susceptible to pain. It's a vicious cycle, and it is not going to improve through my wishing and hoping. It's also not going to improve through the ingestion of Krispy Kreme donuts, as he continually suggests. But that is an experiment I support every 3 or 4 months, just in case. In the last couple of days, there's been an improvement. He has requested to accompany me on tomorrow's Columbus Day-inspired jaunt to the Outlet Mall in Gilroy, home of any true Southerner's favorite duo, Sonic and Outlet Shopping. Nothing says happiness like clearance price Robert Talbot neckties followed by a cherry root beer. Whether he will be able to maintain his improved outlook once he has witnessed the carnage of an outlet mall clearance event remains to be seen. Regardless of how tomorrow goes, though, I know there is nothing so bad a foot-long chili cheese coney and tater tots can't temporarily fix. And I know y'all all agree with that. Amen? Amen. We'll see you next time. Thanks.